Meredith Willson's The Music Man, released in 1962, starring Robert Preston and Shirley Jones. The story is about a con man who arrives in uprighteous River City, Iowa. He prophesies how a pool hall can lead to moral decay. He leads the townspeople to create a boys' marching band. After he collects money for the band instruments and uniforms, he plans to skip the town. The opening number is based upon an American folk song that originated in the late 1920s. The song tells about the people who worked on the Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific Railroad. Willson combined syncopated lyrics of traveling salesmen on the train to introduce the audience the story of Harold Hill, a precursor of today's rap.
With the big trombones and the rat-a-tat drum. Dances, certainly, boys. What else? The piper pays him. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The heart and soul of Music Man was Meredith Willson, 1902 to 1984. Composer, conductor, musical arranger, band leader, and playwright. He played the piccolo in John Philip Sousa's band and the New York Philharmonic Orchestra. One of the first music directors on radio for 25 years. Willson wrote classic songs such as You and I, Glenn Miller, 1941, It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas, Perry Como, 1951, and Till I Met You, Peggy Lee, 1960. The Beatles recorded retitled Till There Was You in 1963. It was the only song from a Broadway show released by the Beatles. It was a hit song. According to Meredith Willson's widow, the Beatles' rendition received more royalties than the original film version. Willson not only composed symphonies, but music for stage and film productions. He was nominated for an Academy Award's Best Music for Original Score in 1940, working alongside Charlie Chaplin in The Great Dictator. He lost out to Herbert Stothardt's score for The Wizard of Oz. In 1951, a couple of successful Broadway producers dared him to write a musical based upon his beloved Iowa town. After 6 years, more than 40 drafts were written before a final draft of The Music Man was settled on. Early drafts included nearly 40 songs, 22 were ultimately cut. Willson, with his second wife, Russian opera singer Reni Zarova. The Music Man is set in the fictional town of River City, Iowa, in 1912. The town is based in large part on Willson's birthplace, Mason City, Iowa, and many of the musical's characters are based on people that Willson observed in the town. Speaking of River City in The Music Man and his hometown, Mason City, Iowa, I didn't have to make up anything. I simply remembered Mason City as closely as I could. Meredith Willson. Besides the music, Willson was obsessed with the spoken words. He wrote, "People from home never just say over, it's always overt and set instead of sit. Come over to our house to sit a while." He loved wordplay, such as when he dubbed his neighbor's aggressive little dog a vixer, viper and vixen. Pick a Little Ladies is a classic example of his play on words.
Pick a little talk a little cheep, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more, pick a little talk a little, pick a little talk a little cheep, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more, pick a little talk a little, pick a little talk, cheep, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more, pick a little talk a little, pick a little talk a little, cheep, 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 cheep.
And when the need arise, he'll make up a word like shy poopy, or a woman who'll kiss on the very first date is usually a hussy, and a woman who'll kiss on the second date is anything but a hussy.
But a woman who'll wait till the third time around, head in the clouds, feet on the ground, she's the girl he's glad he's found. She's his shapoopy, 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 shapoopy.
In the 2022 Broadway revival of The Music Man, the lyrics of Shapoopy was viewed mocking women, outdated and needed to be revised. This was not an easy task. Unlike films that make changes to script at a moment's notice, Broadway plays require permission from the current copyright holders. In this case, the changes were approved. Critics countered that it wasn't disparaging women, but really an ode to Miriam the Librarian's high moral standards. In this lily-white small town, there were class distinction. Willson has Mayor Shin remark that Tommy DeJulis' father was a Lithuanian, misspoke for Lithuanian, implying his low-class status. A good enough reason his daughter and Tommy should not be together. Less controversial was the depiction of Indians. Wilson's silly staging of American patriotism probably minimized any controversy of Indian stereotypes. In any case, deleting such references only erases its historical context, be it then or in contemporary times. Filming was in Hollywood at Warner Brothers Burbank Studios. The town square, commonly known as the Music Man Square, was featured in other films, including East of Eden and Rebel Without a Cause, 1955, No Time for Sergeants, 1958, Suppose They Gave a War and Nobody Came, 1970, Nickelodeon, 1976, and The Gremlins, 1984. 2 years after The Music Man, Willson followed with another of his Broadway musicals. The Unsinkable Molly Brown was adapted into a film starring Debbie Reynolds. Robert Preston, 1918 to 1987, began his acting on stage in the 1930s. Preston's mother, employed at Decca Records, was acquainted with Bing Crosby's brother Everett, a talent agent. She convinced the agent to watch one of Preston's performances at the Pasadena Playhouse. This led to a movie deal with Paramount. He served as an intelligence officer in World War II. After the war, he continued in films and stage performances. Preston starred in both the 1957 stage and the 1962 film of The Music Man. He believed he landed the role of Harold Hill due to his strong physical film acting rather than his singing.
Words like swell. Aha! And so's your old man. But if so, my friends, you got trouble. Right here in River City. With a capital T and that rhymes with P and that stands for pool.
Willson shows the prejudice of townspeople toward the outside world, allowing them to be led by conman Harold Hill, who calls ragtime shameless music with the power to induce a jungle animus fever in their children, or what today's politicians says as having the dog whistle to rile up people. Preston would co-star with Steve McQueen in Sam Peckinpah's film Junior Bonner, 1972. He later collaborated twice with director Blake Edwards in S.O.B. 1981 and Victor Victoria 1982. The latter role earned him a nomination for Academy Awards Best Supporting Actor. Although Preston had great success in the original stage version of the show, he was not the first choice for the film version, mostly because he was not a major box office star. The studio's boss, Jack Warner, offered the role to bigger stars, James Cagney, Bing Crosby, and Cary Grant. All declined. Cary Grant said nobody could do the role as well as Bob Preston, and he wouldn't bother seeing the film unless Preston was in it. However, the female lead, Barbara Cook, as librarian Marion, wasn't as lucky. She was replaced with a bigger star. The bigger star was Shirley Jones. In 1955, Shirley impressed Rodgers and Hammerstein with her musical-trained voice and was cast as the female lead in the film adaptation Oklahoma. Other film musicals quickly followed, including Carousel, 1956, April Love, 1957. 3 months into shooting, Shirley Jones discovered she was pregnant. When they shot the final scenes at the footbridge, the only major kiss in the movie, Preston and Jones had their arms around each other in an embrace and musical number Till I Met You. After the director yelled cut, Preston pulled back and exclaimed, "What the heck was that?" It was baby Patrick with a big kick. Years later, when Patrick introduced to Preston as Shirley Jones's son, Preston replied, "Yes, we've already met." Jones later won the Academy Award's Best Supporting Actress as a vengeful prostitute in Elmer Gantry, 1960, starring Burt Lancaster and Gene Simmons. Among her 60-plus years in show business, many fans best remembered her role as Shirley, the mother of the Partridge Family, on the 1970-74 television series. It co-starred her real-life stepson, David Cassidy, son of Jack Cassidy. Other familiar actors in the film included Buddy Hackett, Hermine Gingold, and Paul Ford, and little Ronnie Howard. The Music Man had its world premiere on June 19, 1962, in Meredith, Willson's hometown of Mason City, Iowa. All the film's cast were there for a weekend of celebration. It coincided with a festival with 100 marching bands. Nearly 100,000 came to the event and included many things seen in the movie, such as a lunchbox social. Meredith Willson, through his entire life, never forgot his hometown of Mason City, Iowa. Warner Brothers released the film June 19, 1962. The film was as big on the screen as it was on the stage. It made at the box office $8 million, or in 2025 dollars, $84 million. The Music Man only ranked third in 1962, a banner year for films. The Music Man was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, but lost out to Lawrence of Arabia. The film did win the Golden Globe Award for Best Motion Picture Musical. Please note, the Academy Awards only have one Best Picture award, whereas the Golden Globe has 3 categories: drama, musical, and comedy. In fact, Lawrence of Arabia won the Golden Globes for Best Motion Picture Drama. In 2005, the Music Man film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. The 76 Trombones finale featured members from the USC and UCLA marching bands and local junior high school bands. It took 8 hours of shooting over 2 days to film the scenes. The story took place over 100 years ago, and as we all know, a con man cheating an entire town is not likely to happen in the present.